Alexa Chung, a name that resonates in the fashion world, is known for her multifaceted career as a model, journalist, and fashion editor. But in 2023, her eponymous brand, ALEXACHUNG, decided to wind down operations after facing years of financial struggles. What happened to the label that seemed poised for success? Let's take a deeper look. The idea of Alexa venturing into the fashion world wasn't new. She had been a prominent figure in fashion for over a decade before launching her line. This solid foundation in the industry set the stage for what many thought would be a breakthrough brand. The label, simply named ALEXACHUNG, was first teased in late 2016, creating a buzz that had the fashion world eagerly awaiting its debut. When it finally launched in 2017, the reception was warm. The first collection, a pre-fall line, was backed by private equity firms Pembroke VCT and investor P.T. Dubbins, co-founder of Oakley Capital Private Equity. The launch party was a star-studded affair, packed with British celebrities, though many weren't as well known across the pond. Interestingly, the venue wasn't a glamorous ballroom but a humble pub, which spoke to the brand's ethos of being chic yet accessible, appealing to women in their early 30s. The team behind the label was solid, with Alexa bringing on industry veterans like Edwin Bodson, previously of Hyder Ackerman and J.W. Anderson. Business-wise, everything seemed to be in place. The designs themselves, though not groundbreaking, were commercially appealing, modern yet familiar, with a touch of Alexa's personal style. The brand found a place in well-regarded stockists like Matches Fashion and Selfridges, and adopted a see now, buy now model that was innovative for the time. But let's talk about the pricing. While not as steep as luxury brands, it was at a higher price point, causing some friction with consumers who were still looking for accessible luxury. Nonetheless, it seemed to align with the brand's target market, women looking for affordable yet stylish wardrobe staples. The pieces themselves seemed like they were plucked straight out of Alexa's personal wardrobe. Think 70s Laura Ashley meets Miu Miu's earliest collections. It wasn't pushing boundaries, but it was undeniably relatable. When the Autumn-Winter 17 collection debuted, it carried the same accessible, youthful vibe that had worked in the first launch. With denim dungarees, trouser suits, and A-line skirts making an appearance, the collection aligned perfectly with Alexa's signature look. The quirky, almost awkward prom-themed presentation, a mix of balloons, a live band, and a bouncy castle, further amplified the brand's lighthearted and self-deprecating charm. However, as successful as it was in terms of marketing, there was something a little familiar about it. If you looked closely, it echoed the offerings from Topshop Unique's Spring-Summer '09 collection. Both shared the same retro, preppy vibe. Nothing groundbreaking, just an easy-to-wear, classic collection. This similarity raised questions. Was this a sign of a dated aesthetic? Or was it simply ahead of its time in the resurgence of early 2010s fashion, as we now see on TikTok? While the collection was well received in the press, particularly by UK-based publications, it soon became clear that ALEXACHUNG was not positioning itself as an innovative force in the fashion industry. There were no real attempts to push boundaries. Instead, the brand stuck closely to familiar territory. This led to the brand feeling more like a celebrity collaboration than a standalone fashion label. By Spring-Summer 18, despite a high-profile music video collaboration and continued press support from Vogue and L'Officiel, the cracks started showing. The collection felt tired, and Vogue even referred to it as old. Sales were beginning to stagnate, particularly in Western markets, but there was hope in Asia. The brand found a more receptive audience in countries like Japan and Taiwan, where sales increased by 40% and 50% respectively. The brand found new momentum by collaborating with retailers in Korea, including a highly successful collection with Bunta, a luxury retailer known for carrying cutting-edge brands. Pop-up shops in Japan showcased their Spring 2018 collection and offered some much-needed visibility in the Asian market. Still, it wasn't enough to turn the tide in the West. By 2018, they skipped the Autumn-Winter collection altogether, focusing on their growing presence in Asia. When ALEXACHUNG returned in 2019 with their resort collection, it was a fresh take on the brand. The collection felt revitalized, blending Alexa's signature style with new influences drawn from her travels and relocation back to London. The styling was tighter, and the pieces felt more global, reflecting a deeper understanding of the brand's diverse audience. But even with these efforts, by the Spring-Summer 19 collection, the brand's image was already in flux. The youthful, retro vibe that had initially worked for Alexa was starting to feel like it had reached its peak. The world of fashion was shifting, and ALEXACHUNG, while beloved, was struggling to keep up. Alexa's brand, once brimming with promise, never quite found its place in the highly competitive fashion landscape. The closing of ALEXACHUNG's namesake fashion line in 2023 serves as a reminder of the harsh realities of fashion. The label had undeniable charm, and its early days were full of promise. Yet, in the ever-evolving world of fashion, staying relevant and innovative is a constant challenge. Sometimes even a well-loved celebrity brand just can't keep up with the changing tides. ALEXACHUNG's story is a fascinating example of a fashion venture that struggled to balance personal style with market demand, proving that in fashion, even the most adored brands can face tough times. This collection was intentionally designed to feel unexpected and a bit disorienting, and that chaotic vibe really came through in the garments. Although the collection was mostly unified by a shared color palette, the introduction of different printed fabrics, each used in a single look, created a sort of fractured aesthetic. It was bold, but there was a part of me that felt it didn't fully feel disjointed, as intended. In fact, I think all the pieces held a certain cohesion, even if they were visually quite different from one another. Still, I can't deny that for retailers, this collection would pose some serious challenges when it comes to merchandising. Despite that, this collection quickly became my favorite from the brand. It demonstrated a real willingness to listen to its audience and craft something that genuinely felt personal and thoughtful. While it wasn't quite at the cutting edge of fashion, this is a challenge for any see now, buy now business model, given how designs must be deeply relevant to the moment they're released in order to generate sales. Unfortunately, this emphasis on instant relevance often leaves little room for the boldness needed to stand out creatively. This isn't just a shortcoming of this particular collection, but rather a broader issue within the brand's business model. The brand's Pre-4 collection, for example, was far more commercial than it was creative, lacking the imaginative spark that had defined earlier designs. However, their Autumn-Winter 2019 collection marked a creative turning point. It stood head and shoulders above anything the brand had released before, largely due to styling. Although the individual pieces themselves weren't revolutionary, the way they were styled brought an entirely new energy, making them more visually stimulating than anything seen from the brand previously. That being said, they still didn't feature the kind of standout designs that make you rush online and snatch them up before they sell out. Nevertheless, Alexa herself is an incredibly respected figure in fashion, and it's clear that her loyal following would have ensured a certain level of sales, even if the broader market didn't fully connect with this collection. The theme of the collection was set in a dystopian future, where people are making their own clothes, growing their own food, and working towards self-sufficiency. This concept was clear in both the setting, a moody, dark King's Cross, and the clothes themselves, which again incorporated those disjointed fabric choices, used for only a single look at a time. In a way, these choices were consistent with the brand's established aesthetic, which already included traditional ALEXACHUNG staples: feminine dresses, blouses, tomboyish denim, and creative, unexpected pieces. Adding the chaotic fabrics into this mix felt like a natural extension of everything the brand had built. But despite the creative leap forward, it was clear that this bold experimentation came too late in the game for the brand to thrive. By the end of 2019, the company had reported a loss of £2.3 million since its inception just 2 years earlier. A real shame, especially considering how much the brand had evolved creatively. But they weren't ready to give up. They secured a £1.7 million investment, which allowed them to refocus their marketing efforts, moving toward a more social media-driven approach and putting Alexa's personality at the forefront of their branding. This shift included a push on YouTube, where they began posting more regularly, engaging their audience with videos on fashion, makeup, and other lifestyle topics. Within months, they had hit 100,000 subscribers, which indicated a solid reach, even though they could have benefited from mentioning their brand more consistently. It was clear that Alexa's personality was drawing in an audience, but the brand itself still needed more recognition. Toward the end of the year, they also launched a collaboration with a British classic, Barbour, creating an incredibly intriguing collection of outerwear, tote bags, and a bucket hat. This collaboration, frankly, was more creatively compelling than any of the mainline collections. It was a reinvention of Barbour's iconic designs in a way that genuinely felt fresh, something that took the mainline brand a while to even begin to approach. It felt like Alexa had learned from her experiences with her own brand, and she was able to carry that knowledge into the Barbour collaboration, which turned out to be a 2-year forward collection contract. Unlike her mainline collections, this collaboration wasn't beholden to the see now, buy now model. It was shown in 2019 but released in June 2020, allowing more time to build anticipation and interest before the collection dropped. This proved to be a wise move. Without the pressure to generate immediate sales, Alexa was free to focus on creating a collection that genuinely captured attention, and the smart production strategy, based on perceived demand, ensured that stock was managed more effectively. The success of this collection showed what the brand could achieve when given more creative freedom and more time to properly plan its stock. This Barbour collection was sold at major retailers like Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom, Saks, Net-a-Porter, Selfridges, Harvey Nichols, and Liberty's, among others. The collection even had its own dedicated points of sale, branded rails, and a new label featuring a lighthouse image from Barbour's archives. It was clear that there was confidence in this collaboration, even with the slightly higher price point ranging from £193 to £363. This was the kind of success I had hoped to see more of from Alexa's mainline brand. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit and changed everything. Fashion weeks were canceled, and other brands with their previous season's promotional materials were able to keep pushing forward. Alexa's brand, however, struggled under its see now, buy now model, unable to generate buzz for new collections since there was nothing new to show. They did have a presentation during spring or summer 2020 London Fashion Week, but it was a public-facing show, not an official collection. No buyers were present, and Alexa didn't even take a bow, marking what would be her final runway show. Despite the success of the Barbour collaborations continuing into 2020 and 2021, the losses kept mounting for Alexa's mainline brand. By June 2021, the company needed even more investment to survive. But with the pandemic stretching on, larger brands like Barbour had the resources to weather the storm, whereas a smaller brand like ALEXACHUNG simply couldn't keep up. Their only major release during this period was a spring-summer 2021 lookbook, which, for reasons unknown, was hidden from her Vogue page. Looking at this final collection, I don't think it would have done well. It felt like a return to the outdated style of earlier collections, lacking the creative spark that had characterized the brand's recent work. It was unfortunate, especially since this would mark the brand's final chapter. By 2022, Alexa announced the closure of the business, though the final Barbour collection had yet to be released or shown by the time the announcement was made. It's heartbreaking that the brand had so much potential but couldn't overcome the systemic issues within its business model. It was an admirable effort, though. The brand understood its audience, adapted quickly, and expanded into areas with potential. Yet, the see now, buy now model limited its creative freedom and ability to generate lasting buzz. In hindsight, I believe the brand could have taken more risks and been more daring with its designs. A shift away from the immediate sales cycle would have given Alexa the breathing room to innovate further and to craft pieces that could truly generate excitement in the market. Though the brand may not return for a while, I hope that when it does, it adopts a new business model, one that allows for greater freedom in design, creativity, and forward-thinking production strategies. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video.